I told Jeff, it's not hard to have an 18-minute meeting when you're not taking part in the meeting.
True. not wrong there.
Right?
Councillor Appleby, can you speak so we can hear you? Yes, thank you. Yes.
Jake just called, and he's going to come get his basketball here, so I'm going to have to step away somewhere in the next.
Oh, good. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular public council meeting on Monday, November 28th, 2022, here at the town of Torbay, council chambers. First thing, new business. Councilor Pepper.
Pass.
Councilor Manning.
Pass.
Councilor Pollard.
Pass.
Councilor Appleby.
Thank you.
Councilor Goss.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor's absent, and I got a thanks. Okay. Anybody in the here want to get in the first Q&A? Paula? Oh, you're good. All right. Thank you. Could I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We got a public council minutes, November 14th. Could I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any errors or omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Conflict of interest. Did everybody have a look at the sheet? Did you see this, Councillor Appleby? The conflict of interest sheet.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Proclamations, presentations. We have a proclamation for 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Councillor Manning.
Okay, proclamation, 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, November 25th to December the 10th, 2022. Whereas the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador recognizes the Purple Ribbon Campaign, which starts on November the 25th, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and ends on December the 10th, International Human Rights Day. And whereas the Violence Prevention Initiative reflects provincial government's commitment to addressing violence. The initiative is a multi-departmental government-community partnership to find long-term solutions to violence against those most at risk in our society: women, children, youth, older persons, persons with disabilities, Indigenous women and children, the 2 SLGBTQIA plus community, and other people vulnerable to violence because of their ethnicity or economic status. Whereas violence devastates relationships, families, communities, neighborhoods, workplaces, schools, villages, cities, and towns the world over. And whereas the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence provides an opportunity for individuals, community organizations, and governments to work together in solidarity and draw upon the period of heightened attention to gain support for their local efforts to eliminate violence against women. And whereas this initiative is based on a vision that the people of our province will live in a safe, caring communities where there is an inherent respect for each other and violence of any sort is unacceptable. And whereas on November the 9th, 2022, the government of Newfoundland and Labrador joined all other provinces and territories and the federal government to launch the National Action Plan to End Gender-Based Violence.
Therefore, it was the Town of Torbay do hereby proclaim November 25th to December 10th, 2022 as 16 days of activism against gender-based violence to prevent violence against women in Newfoundland and Labrador. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
Mayor, if I could,
Sure.
this one is a proclamation that's close to my heart. You do an awful lot of work at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities table around gender-based violence. And I know as well with our work with M&L around diversity and inclusion, we definitely want to make sure that we're having conversations in all of our communities about the importance of addressing these issues. And I felt so strongly about some actions that were taken against women this past year, that I actually reached out to FCM President Tanine Murdoch, and I asked her for a space to convene a discussion across the country about this issue. So on December the 7th, I'm proud to announce that the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Board is going to host a town hall specifically to talk about women's rights and things that are happening in our communities. I also want to note that we did participate in bystander training. There's a bunch of us across the country and some members of our province in the municipal sector that participated in that event as well. And what we talked about were how to help women who were in situations if they were feeling uncomfortable experiencing different kinds of harassment. I also want to note, just last point for the public, that the St. John's Women's Centre has created an online tool called Empowering Men, and it's a course where you can learn about gender-based violence and violence against women. And, you know, it impacts everybody, and it's a very important thing for us to be talking about and holding space and having a conversation about. So I want to thank the town of Torbay for this proclamation, and you know, make sure that residents know that this is something that we need to talk about, we need to work on. And if anybody wants to reach out and have a conversation anytime about what we can do with the town, I'm more than happy to participate in that conversation and continue with that work. So thank you for the time, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, thank you. Presentations, we have none. Q&A, we have none. Mayor's report, it's going to be pretty short and simple. First off, I would like to mention the birthdays for the month of November for our council and staff. Councillor Rappy, Terry Lynn Farrell, Infrastructure and Public Works, Danny Lowe, Recreation and Community Services, Brian Winter, Infrastructure and Public Works, and Melissa Hobbs in Corporate Services. Happy birthday, everybody. Hope you have a happy and safe birthday with your family and friends and whoever else you choose to celebrate your birthday with. And it's nice to see you here celebrating another one. All right. Also, myself and CAO had a meeting today with representatives from the Royal Bank, and I just want to let everybody know, and I already advised council, but I do have to, I asked them today, was it okay if I did this, but to inform people that the Royal Bank in Torbay will be closing its branch and moving all the accounts, I guess the people with accounts, out to Elizabeth Avenue branch, and I guess the branch on Aberdeen Avenue is the closest one to us with banking services and ATM. So this is something that they've been talking about now since pre-COVID, that they've been looking at consolidating branches. They've done some other ones throughout the province and I guess throughout the country. I did tell them today that I personally thought it's going to blow. The Royal Bank has been in Torbay for as long as I can remember. I remember when it was here in the town hall in the front, and going in there as a very young, with my bank card to get it stamped and updated or whatever. I don't even know if people even have bank cards or bank books anymore, but,
Rolls of coppers.
yeah, and rolls of coppers, but, you know, so they've seen a significant, a 50% reduction in foot traffic at the bank since prior to COVID, and of course, I asked them, I said, you know, could this just be a COVID thing? And he said, well, not really, they're seeing it everywhere, and what they had thought would take, they projected out would happen in 7 years, actually COVID accelerated that. And what they thought would happen in 7 years actually happened in 7 months. When people were home and they had to adapt, and everybody started using electronic banking and electronic documents and all these things. And you know, it's I guess not just the banking industry, but other ones are experiencing very similar changes in I guess their workplace habits and how they're gonna operate as businesses. You know, it's very unfortunate, but there's really not much that we can do about it. It'll be April, I think, when the branch closes. And they've sent out letters. There's letters going in the mail to everybody that has any of their customers, clients of the bank. So you'll receive that in the next couple of days. And they're also going to be holding a public information session for residents of the town at Torbay Common on January 10th at 6 p.m. So if you want to go and find out more about what's going to be happening and ask questions and how you're going to be able to deal with your own banking, you know, I would certainly take up that opportunity to go there and ask those questions. This likely will be tougher on some segments of our population than others. You know, having the bank in the town was certainly it's a convenience for sure for a lot of people that don't have transportation or not comfortable going out to town to do things. So there's going to be a bit of an adjustment period for sure. But you know, so if anybody wants to, they can reach out to us here at the town, to me and to Don or any member of council, and we'll pass on. Don has a good relationship with the people at the bank, and she can ask those questions, and they're going to be providing us with additional information that we're going to be able to share on the town's website and our Facebook page so that people are aware of what's going on. But yeah, it's really unfortunate, but you know, that's unfortunately, I think it's a sign of things, the way things are going, you know, in terms of different types of businesses. So anyway, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, one thing I might add, if we could put it, I guess if we are talking to them again, at very least, if they are going to leave, it'd be nice if they could leave maybe an ATM in the area. I know at one point there used to be one at Irving, but it'd be nice to see some kind of presence left, that if people did want to cash a check or something along those lines, that'd be, you know, I'm sure there's some store or kind of company here that would take that on.
I did ask them that question today.
Yep.
And basically what they told me right now, and of course there's going to be months before they finally move out, but right now that they told me, my answer is that they don't have any immediate plans for that.
Okay.
Right? But
It's unfortunate.
But that doesn't mean that we can't continue to advocate for that, and if people want that as a service, then they should take up that opportunity in January to go to that meeting and express those things, certainly, right? All right,
Mayor, can I ask a question?
sure.
Is there something we can do as a municipality to help people come together with a collective voice to maybe, I don't know what it might be, if we have a rally or something to try to, or some sort of a petition, I'm not sure. But I think, you know, with such an important business in our community saying, hey, we're closing and we're leaving, you know, I think it's important for us to provide a voice or find a way to help the people in the community come together and have a collective voice about this. I don't know if there's a committee or department or some part of the look at convening an event or communication or something whereby residents can come together and say, listen, we want to see a bank in our community. I understand your point. I think you're 100% right. There are seniors in our community, or, people who are vulnerable, single parents, low-income families. Lots of people are very busy, people who are working 1 or 2 jobs who try to find time to get into the bank. Now all of a sudden they've got to leave Torbay and go all the way down to Elizabeth Avenue, which can be quite complex at times for many people. So I'm just wondering, what abilities do we have as a municipality to rally and help get people to come together to say, hey, we're not okay with this? Are there any options that we can look at around that and see what's available to us as a municipality to help champion the voices of community members?
I think that people can contact us and we can put them in contact with the bank. But that branch is closing. There's no ifs, ands, buts. It's not like they're contemplating closing it or what. It's closed, and it's going to close in April. One thing though that we can do, and I would suggest that we do this, is that we reach out to other financial institutions, credit union, other banks, see if they're interested in coming in and taking up that space, and going from there. Because that, of course, that building that the bank is in is owned by the town, so we do have some flexibility there with who we can have move into that space. So, it's a bit of a delicate situation, I guess, that we can ask CAO to look into that and see what avenues are there for us, and go back and have that additional conversation. But from what I heard today, I mean, it's a done deal. They're not changing their mind.
Yeah, and I hear you, Mayor, and I understand. I think, the conversation of who's going to be in that space is a very important one. But for people who are RBC clients who are going to have trouble getting to St. John's to do their banking, again, I feel that if there's any way that we can rally or come together or find some way to help support their voices getting heard, I'll just ask that staff and, council consider see if there's anything that we can do around that, please. Thanks.
Okay. All
Mayor,
right.
could I just speak for a moment?
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
Their lease is actually up in May of next year. One thing that they did discuss at the meeting this morning with the mayor and myself was they know the hardship that it's going to incur on some residents in the town, in the region, and they're prepared. Because the functioning of banks has changed now remotely and online, that they're willing, they said today, to meet with residents, go to their homes, talk to them, help them find solutions as well too. So that was one of the reasons why I asked if there was literature that we could have, that we could start sharing to help support residents. But I will, as per the discussion, look to see what options are there and what we can do and bring it back to council. And I think it's important for council to have a discussion too on, the way forward with that building as well too, because it was a source of revenue to us as well too that we can't count on when putting together our budget for next year too. So that's another discussion as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Correspondence. We have a correspondence here from Mineral Lands, Department of Industry, Energy, Technology, changes to mineral exploration permits. We'll forward that one on to planning. Municipal Assessment Agency update. Just information purposes. Okay. Off to corporate
Mayor, I
services.
have to step away for a minute. My son has just come there, so
Okay.
I will step away and I'll be back as soon as I can. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have one here from Department of Infrastructure, Transportation Infrastructure, seasonal asphalt reminder. This is the one just to say when how late you can go with laying asphalt. Is that one is what we're about?
It actually says it there.
Yeah, anyway, Public Works with that. And the next one is from Environment and Climate Change. Permit requirements for water and wastewater infrastructure work. There's another one for, is that Public Works? Planning? Okay. We have a letter here from Take the Shot Productions. So we did get a couple of complaints last week, or over the last little while, from some residents in the Easterbrook area. Don? Complaining that the movie or show or whatever was being shot down there at the time was not conducive to their neighborhood or to their enjoying of their property, that it was running late. So this is actually a letter of apology for those incidents. And they're talking about, they would like to, I guess, finish off the work that they're doing down there now.
Correct.
Basically what this is about. So we'll forward this one off to planning to take a look at, and economic development, I guess it's all part of that, Don.
Yes, correct.
And see if there's a way that we can work with that company and have them continue to operate within our town, but also to make sure that the residents down in that area are not, what's the word I'm looking for?
Impacted.
Impacted too much. Negatively impacted. Positive impact is good, but negative impact not good. So we'll forward that one on to planning and economic development to have a look at. And I'm glad that they actually came back so quickly on that.
Yeah.
They, you know, those companies, not just this one, but other ones as far back, I don't know, remember, was the first film they filmed here, was the, remember they did one with the truck and they were talking the house, Ralph? And the patch, they did that here too.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and, you know, and hatching, matching, dispatching was filmed here, so we do have a good reputation as a town in dealing with these companies to come in here and film and do things around, but it has to be mutually beneficial to everybody, and the residents also have to be part of that conversation and make sure that they feel that their concerns are being heard, and it appears that the company is taking their concern seriously and put forward I guess a proposal on how they can finish doing their work here, so. Anyway, we'll put that off to planning and economic development and see how they can deal with that. Alrighty, number 2.
Mayor, I just want to note that on that.
Yeah, okay, alright, thank you. Committees of Council, Committee of the Whole, minutes. We got some 3 sets of minutes there. Can we get a motion to adopt the first one, please?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any errors, omissions, or comment? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Committee minutes, November 15th, 2022.
So moved.
Moved,
Second.
seconded. Questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. November 21st.
So moved.
Hang on now, let me have a look first. Make sure there's no motions in there.
Oh, no.
All right, okay, moved,
Second.
seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Planning, land use development. Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Worship. Another short one this time around. A few meetings back, we had talked about the amendment to rezone property in the Bernice Drive area from rural to residential large lot, and we were going through that process, and we had asked to go back as the proponent had asked that the application be stopped, or the process be stopped, but they had agreed to take us to the end of this amendment process and cover the costs as if it was going through normally. So on that basis, we're going to recommend that we carry forward. So it's a motion to approve the Bernice Drive amendments, more specifically Municipal Plan Amendment number 4, 2020, and Development Regulation Amendment number 8, 2020, without modifications, and to move and to forward the amendments for concurrent approval of regional plan amendment and registration of amendments to the minister's office. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And short and sweet is the motion to accept listings for a week ending December 24th, 22 is tabled. So moved.
Second.
November 24th. Questions?
What's that?
All in favor? November 24th. You said December. I was gonna say holy moly.
I'm in the season.
Yeah, you're looking forward. Looking forward, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. Did you get that, eh? All right. That it?
Sir.
All right. Admin and HR. Counselor Manning.
Okay, so we had our meeting Monday, November 21st. Seasonal HEOs have been hired, and they will start, when are they starting? Thank you, December 8th. We also have one retirement. Wayne Call retirement retired after 17 years, and there'll be retirement celebrations are being planned for December the 21st to recognise his years of service, certainly. For policies and procedures, the list is there, and they're all being worked on, and we'll have some things ready for council's review very shortly. Employee health and wellness, staff of Christmas events, that's all there. Other agenda items, collective bargaining, this is still ongoing. Members of committee were provided with an update, and as I said, the negotiations are still ongoing, and we'll wait to hear how things roll out from that. And next meeting, December the 5th. Any questions or concerns?
I have a question real quick.
Yes.
It's my understanding that we are entering into the union negotiations without having a third-party neutral consultant involved this time around. And I know that was a past practice, and it was certainly the last time I was on council when we were going through this process. I'm concerned about not having a neutral third-party consultant involved, and I'm not aware of any decision of council to not engage a third-party consultant at this point. So I'm just curious as to, one, how do we address this issue, and two, moving forward, I feel it's important, especially as the negotiations are happening, and staff who are negotiating can and have been normally receiving the increases that come with the union negotiation. So I just want to put that out there and have a conversation, because I think this is important, and I think we need to have a conversation about it. So if I could get some information about how we got here and what can we do to address the situation. Thanks.
Well, did you want me to?
Yes, certainly.
So when union negotiations, when it was coming up for a topic for review, we were given at a committee at whole meeting of council an update from our HR director and CAO, and also our director of infrastructure, public works and recreation, all who are participating in the negotiations, about how they intended to proceed. And council agreed, sure, and that we were happy with the direction. We gave direction to staff about what we would like to see included in those negotiations in terms of, I guess, potential salary percentages and whatever else staff needed to be able to move forward, and then we move forward. We don't have any standing policy to hire external third party to do negotiations. We've done it like that in the past, and the CAO felt that with her prior experience and with Mark's experience dealing with these types of negotiations, that they were confident that they could go forward, and we didn't have any issue with it. We don't have any policy that states that we need to use a third party. Actually, it's been said around this table many times by various members of council that we use external consultants too much, and that we need to move away from using external consultants and use our expertise that we have in-house. So that's kind of how we got to that point. And you know, council gave direction, and that's where we're to.
Mayor, if I could, there's a past precedent though, that we do hire a third-party consultant. And also, there is no motion that I'm aware of where council made a decision in the public chamber to agree to take a direction to not have a third-party consultant. And you and I participated in municipal training a couple weekends ago. And municipal affairs was quite clear, there was no legal binding decision of council if it's not made and debated in the public chamber.
There was,
So if some people made a decision at a meeting somewhere, it's not a legitimate decision or direction of council.
there was no decision of council required. Staff gave us an update on where they were headed with negotiations, and council agreed that that direction was fine. I mean, there was no
But then you're
decision.
saying that council agreed, how can council agree if there's not a decision of council?
How do we, I don't know why we would agree, have a motion not to do something. I mean, it's part of our regular operations to do union negotiations. It didn't require a motion of council. Don has,
Council- Sorry.
Don had checked with legal on this, didn't you, Don? And they came back and told her everything was fine the way we were doing it.
If council is taking a decision, then a motion is required for that decision.
We didn't-
And I just wanted to flag it. And the other thing is, I just want to be clear that the past actions of this council have been to provide the people who are negotiating this contract on behalf of the town residents the very same pay increases that they are negotiating, which under the current legislation may put them in a position that's uncomfortable. So I feel it's important to flag this, and if there is a direction of council to not hire a third-party consultant to engage in union negotiations, then that's a motion I feel that should be brought forward in the chamber, debated and discussed. But
This-
right now, what I've been advised is the same advice, the same information you shared here, Mayor, that council has decided that we don't need a third-party, neutral third party here to work on our behalf. And I'm of the opinion that council has not taken a decision here that's legal and binding. So I feel that, I'd like to ask for some follow-up on this and for this to be addressed, because we can't operate in a way where some members of council attend a meeting, it's decided outside of the public chamber, and then we're taking action on something that's not a legal but and binding decision of council.
Trina,
Just want to flag that and ask that we look into it and figure out how do we deal with it from there. Thank you.
there's nothing there to flag. We had a meeting to talk about how we were gonna proceed with union negotiations. Staff gave us an update of how they intended to proceed, and we agreed that was fine for them to go ahead and do that. I mean, there's no decision there. We don't need to take a decision not to do something that we never have a policy to do in the first place. Like, I just think that, you know, we had a good discussion around it. Council we were happy with the direction that staff was intending to go. It's an operational thing to do the union negotiations. There's no conflict there, and you know, I don't know if anybody else have any comment on that. I'm fine with how that goes. Ralph?
Well, the real point is that negotiations are just about, and again, I haven't been privy to any of the meetings, but I understand they're just about finished. So,
Should we caution Councillor Tapper here for potential conflict?
He's not in
Certainly
conflict.
wouldn't want him to be in an
He's-
uncomfortable
He hasn't been involved in any of the union negotiations. He's just talking about the process now that we're doing.
exactly, going forward.
Councillor Tapper has a family member who will be impacted by these negotiations, and I don't want him to be in a position where there's.
I'm not voting on a contract here. I want to make a point, next time around, it will take 3 or 4 years before the next contract comes around. But I think if you feel that something should change, put something forward for council to consider right now, and we'll have it in place for next time around. It's a little bit too late for what you're indicating.
Councillor Tapper, I asked some time ago by email about this and was advised that council had taken a decision, as the mayor has indicated, decision. But I've learned in the public training that was provided by Municipal Affairs that Mayor participated with me in, that there is no legal binding decision of council if it doesn't happen in the public chamber. A decision that was made by committee or members of council outside of the legal chamber are not legally binding. And my concern was then, and is now, that we have a union negotiation that's going to impact residents and our budget and our staff for the next 3 or 4 years without having an independent third party participate in the union negotiation on the town hall side. And my concern is that if there are going to be any potential situations in the next 4 years where our directors will get a benefit that is something that they've negotiated in there, it puts them in a position of potential conflict. And I know when I asked this question in the past, it was said, no, council takes a decision if they're going to get that increase or not at the management level, so they wouldn't be in conflict. But the matter of fact is still that 2 years in, within the next couple of years, there's still a potential that they could receive the increase that they are now negotiating themselves without any third party. So even the optics of that, from a municipal perspective, from a town perspective, is not good. And the fact that we're taking a decision behind closed doors and it's not the public chamber is not good. And I hear you, Mayor, when you say there's not a policy on this. There should be a policy, but if we don't have a policy, we have past precedent. And my understanding, my recollection, and correct me if I'm wrong, Don, but I recall having a motion to bring in a third-party neutral consultant in the last term of council when this came up. So I'm curious as to why now, this term of council, some members of council decided in a meeting somewhere that's not recorded, to my knowledge in the public, that we took this
hang
decision.
on. So, I think that you're coming very close to the line there of what you're saying. We had a meeting and all the council was there, with the exception of one member. And we discussed this whole thing around the union negotiations, and we got a update from our staff about where we were to. Council gave direction to staff about what the parameters were going to be that they would be allowed to negotiate under. They don't just go off and do whatever it is that they want. Everything has come back to council for review, and we've sent it back and sent it forward and to do whatever. To suggest that our staff are somehow not negotiating correctly and that they need somehow a third-party consultant to hold our hands while they're doing the work, I think that's, to me, is a borderline, I don't even know what to call it. I think that, the negotiations are almost over now, hopefully, and staff have negotiated in good faith, and council ultimately, at the end of the day, gives direction to everybody about where to go with union negotiations. We will approve everything at the end of the day, and there's no, it's just really frustrating that we're at this point that it's being intimated here that council did something wrong or that staff is doing something wrong. Anyway, so we're gonna move on from
Mayor,
that.
to clarify, I did not say that staff is doing something wrong.
Well, you did.
At no point did I intend that or did I say that any of our staff are not negotiating in good faith? And to make that accusation, I'm gonna ask you to think about, because that's not what I said.
Well, it's what you were, inferring.
No, it's not what I'm inferring. The question that I asked is why was there a decision made that you're saying council made, which was not made in public chamber? There's no record of it that I'm aware of. I was not in that meeting when that discussion happened. And I have nowhere that I can go back to and look to say that we made a public decision about not bringing a third-party consultant to discuss union negotiations. And what I'm saying, I'm not saying the staff didn't do what they were told. I did not say that staff in any way would do something in bad faith. What I did say, though, was that under the current legislation that we have right now, the conflict of interest, it could put staff in a bad position, which is not what we want to do. And that's why I asked the question.
It's not a.
I'm saying that we have precedent in place I understand, and I recall that we had a motion in the past term of council around this. I'm asking why we wouldn't do that now. And the reason that I'm bringing this up again, I've already brought this up via email some time back when it was earlier in the process and raised that concern. But I'm raising it again now because I know when we have confirmation that no decision of council is valid if it doesn't happen here in public chamber. So that's the reason why I'm asking.
That's right. Every motion, every time a motion is required, it comes forward to the public chamber for to be put there and to have a vote on. Don already checked with legal on this with conflict of interest in dealing with the new legislation, and there is no conflict. Right, Don? Okay, all right. All right. Moving on.
Could I just bring up something else on the,
Sure.
I just, with the list of standing policy, reviews or whatever, there's 9 there listed, and I think we've reviewed others through this term of council, and there's a lot of time and effort put into this. And I think once they're implemented by a vote of council, that they should be strictly enforced.
Yeah, I hear you. And which is, yes, I agree. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Very good. Thank you, Councilor Manning. Corporate Services, Councilor Tepper.
Okay, I'll try to be quick as well. The committee report, I'll read into the record. Payroll, regular payroll for 52 employees for the 2-week period ended November the 18th, 2022, totaled $104,576.08. Accounts payable for the 2-week period ended November the 18th, 2022, invoices in the amount of $14,682.74 were processed. Invoices for approval. There's 3 operating invoices totaling $71,768.10. Invoice number 2006518, BDO $15,649.20. Invoice 222814, Garda World, amount $10,118.90. Invoice 263522, Wares Construction Limited, $46,000. Move payment.
Second.
Moving and seconder. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
There is 1 capital invoice totaling $582,768.25. It's invoice D58030, Dependable Emergency Vehicles. It's a 2022 fire pumper. It's $582,768.25. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Comments? She's out in the yard. Was out in the yard earlier. If you wanted to go take a look at it, it's probably put away now out of the rain. So anyway, no. Brand spanking new truck. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So document number 2 is the committee motions. There's a couple of motions. Let me see here. Motion number 1, reallocation of budgeted communications funds. The town's website was scheduled to be updated with internal resources in 2022. This project did not go ahead in 2022. The committee reviewed the remaining budgeted funds in the 2022 communications budget and identified unspent budget funds that can be reallocated to provide funds for the commencement of this project. The committee recommends the reallocation of $7,000 from $6,200 from salaries communications, $400 from pension communications, $400 from MERC communications, to $7,000 website redesign. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
Can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
If this is reallocated, who is going to complete the website redesign? What is the plan for that?
Triware is working on it. They host our website, and I'll be taking the lead on the project. There were some best practices from across the country circulated to the senior management team for feedback. So I'm hoping to have templates actually this week to review, and the adjusted timelines from then, which will be provided to council as well.
So Don, is there a scope of work for that to be completed for the $7,000? I guess is what I'm asking.
Triware has submitted, so I will recirculate that to council.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion number 2, reallocation of 2020-23 MYCW funding to facilitate the installation of a 400 kW diesel generator at Torbay Common to power the building as a warming station in the event of a power outage. The committee recommends the transfer of $100,000 in unspent 2020-23 MYCW total project funding from project number 17-MYCW-22-00068 Torbay Open Space project to 17-MYCW-22-00066 Common Generator Project. And just to note, the MYCW contribution rate on this project is 50-50, resulting in a transfer of a 50,000 MYCW funding from the province and 50,000 of town funds from recreation infrastructure to the Torbay Common Generator Project. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
Now that we've got this all ready to go.
Microphone.
Microphone.
But you want to turn on the bass.
Yes, and now that it has actually been, we know what the size of the generator is, can we see if we can't put a push on this, because it's not going to be too long before we're going to run into a situation where we're going to need that generator. It's been on the books now for a couple of years for valid reasons, obviously, but let's see if we can't get that done so we get that warming center up and operational if we can.
Sounds good. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So there are the number of minutes and background reports there. I'm sure everybody read up on them, so if you have any questions, get them answered, or Norm will answer later on.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Under the invoices process from November 5th to the 18th, there's 2 invoices there for quarry development under Stuart McKelvey that were paid $100 and $178 and $92.29. I did reach out and I did ask about those today, and I was advised that this is this has to do with contact from the proponent's lawyer. Question I have though is, again, you know, we had this discussion earlier about decisions of council being made, and I don't recall there being a public decision made about the quarry after the information came back about the decision. So I'm going to ask if I can, and you and I had this conversation during the training by text message. There were decisions that have been made at this council that were either taken during committee of the whole, some have been brought forward and have been corrected in the chamber, and thank you for that. But I'd like to ask that staff to review, since I've been on council in 2017, of the decisions that have been adopted under committee of the whole as a collective and not debated in the chamber. And I'd also like to ask for the quarry in particular, for any decisions of council that have not been made in the public chamber around appeal decisions or where to from here, because I'm seeing contact of our lawyers with someone else's lawyers here in the public package. When we as council don't have a official decision on record that's publicly been decided by council on the appeal decision that happened last year. So if I could ask that review happen, please, of the motions that haven't been adopted properly, and also anything that we have that there are not public decisions made on the quarry, for those to be brought forward to the public chamber, because this was a question that was brought to me by a resident today, And I feel it's important to make sure that, that we bring it forward and have a discussion in the chamber.
There was,
I know,
There-
just last one there, I know that when you do training and you learn, it gives you an opportunity to correct mistakes of the past and move forward in the best we know how. And, we take decisions based on the information that we have. And that's why we do training. It's important to go do this training, learn, and then figure out from here how do we make sure we're doing it right, go forward. So none of this is meant to be negative or to say that someone's done something wrong in the past. That's not part of Andy's questions. The question here, though, is to make sure that we're bringing it forward and having a discussion that we're doing things right now that we've received the training from Municipal Affairs and we've got clarification on it. So if I can ask for that to be completed and done, I appreciate it.
I mean, it's pretty unreasonable to ask staff to go back to 2017 to review all motions. I know the CAO, when you raised this before, went back and checked everything this term of council, and everything, all motions have been brought forward to the public chamber that were required to bring forward. I know we already had a discussion before around the quarry appeal stuff. We had a meeting with legal, advised us that there was no motion required for that, right, Don? So, I mean, there was nothing to bring forward in terms of that. So, yes, I could get, we can ask CAO to go back and review, but, I mean, go back 5 years, I think it's kind of really, I think that's a bit unreasonable.
I spoke to CAO about that today, and correct me, Don, if I'm wrong, but Don didn't feel that was an onerous ask I'm not asking for it, I'm asking for it when capacity allows. But, if we've got decisions that, and direction that have been provided to staff that have been properly adopted and debated in public chamber, we need to make sure that it's done properly. And I'm asking to go back to 2017, which is when I started with council. And I do know, and I know in particular in reference to the quarry, that there are decisions of council that have been made that are not in the public chamber. They have not happened in the public chamber. So I'm asking that if there's a decision of council required, which there is a decision of council required on how to respond to the decision of an appeal, that comes forward to the public, and then the public can see the votes that happen in the public chamber, which is what we're supposed to do under municipal legislation.
I completely agree you. When there's a motion required, it has to come forward to the public chamber for a debate. When there is no motion required, there is no motion that comes forward. So Don, you can go back and check that stuff and.
I have my committee of the whole, I mentioned to Councillor Appleby today, I have my committee of the whole minutes sorted by year, so I can pull
Okay.
them with ease and then and obviously if there's no motions that were coming forward, I don't know how many meetings that is, but I can provide the details to all council.
All right, thank you.
Mayor?
Yep.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Does a request like that need a motion of council? Because it's
No.
asking an awful lot of our staff, from our staff.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I'm just concerned about the timeframe, but if the CAO feels that it's not that onerous, then
It might be done before fiscal year
Okay.
end, but
all right.
based on
Take a look at it and let us know if you think it's doable or not, and then if that's the case, then we might have to take a decision on it, see. All right. Thank you. Number 2, economic development. Councillor Appleby.
Okay, Mayor, let me unmute. All right, so for Economic Development and Tourism Committee, myself, Councillor Manning, and our Economic Development and Tourism Officer, Dan Lawrence, met on November 17th at 6 p.m. We talked about the regional agriculture update, which is provided here, that there's a meeting scheduled for Tuesday, November 22nd. We talked about the Torbay wayfinding signage, general business supports. We also talked about the tourism map, destination St. John's partners session. And we talked about, under new business, that Economic Development Officer Deanne Morris, was recently appointed to the Board of Economic Developers Association of Newfoundland and Labrador, and we congratulated her at that time. So if anyone has any questions about anything that's in here, please feel free to ask, and if not, that ends my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? No? Okay. History, history, heritage, culture and arts. Councillor Tepper.
I'm just getting it up here on my screen now. I don't know why it's taking so long.
You want to load them?
Yeah. Only a couple of documents. And it's very small.
If you click Control and you move up your mouse button, so if you do that.
Okay, you're brilliant. Okay, we did meet on November 25th at the History House. The manager's report was given, and again, there's a lot of activities here, especially now upcoming with Christmas. The house is getting decorated, and a lot of people have made donations to that cause. And there's the staff and volunteers are developing a scheduling winter 2023 cultural program, which I think that will be great cooperation from everybody. There's a lot of people signing up to all the programs. Financial report, there's $4,000 was received from the Museum Assistance Program Recovery Fund for Heritage Organizations. Museum Services and Operations, the exhibit fabrication, the exhibit installation has begun and will continue into the new year. Collections management is well underway, and a couple of other things to just mention. With the Mannion collection, just to report that we're into a different phase now of the management of the Mannion project. We have a change in our committee, an advisory committee that we've had in place now since day one. But Mr. Alton Hallett, he's a retired ADM from DNL Newfoundland Labrador Stats at the provincial government. It's great to have him. He took over chair. Sean Cadigan, the vice president of MUN, he's taken over as vice chair. Of course, we've got our History House manager there as well, George Power from the NLIC, and then 5 technical people who have been involved with this project from day one. But it is really building up now, and we're going to get into the applications for funding from the Irish government, who are on board as well. And getting back to a comment that Mr. Cadigan, as VP of MUN, said, it looks like the History House will end up being a centre of excellence, and there's going to be a great connection there to MUN as well. So that, I think, speaks volumes for that project. And we've invited Dr. and Mrs. Mannion's son, he's a doctor as well, Patrick Mannion, to step into that committee role as well, and he's agreed to that. So I think that's about it. All the other information is there if you have any questions.
Thanks. I think it's great that we've had 19 class visits so far from the elementary school.
Yeah.
And 11 more scheduled. So that's, my math is correct, 30. So 30 visits since school has been in, plus, well, 19 since school's been in, which is only a couple of months. And I mean, if we did 30 in a year, to me, that sounds like a lot. But good job, Noah. That really looks good, and I know I've spoken to some of the teachers at the elementary school, And they say the kids absolutely love coming to the History House, and it's a great resource. And now if we can figure out a way to get some money out of their parents, you know, that's okay.
Just to
We'll work on
mention,
that.
just to mention too, before I close off, again, there's a whole list of grants that NOAA has applied for, you know, whether they're successful, but 99% of them are successful. So again, there's a lot of money being pumped into that, you know, that the residents should be aware of.
Yep, it's all good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Nick,
Right.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
I've got two. The first question, I'm looking at the annex report here, and the timeline. That is all pending only if we receive the resources that are there for, in the application. I'm looking at the Canadian Cultural Spaces Fund, ACOA, and NL Regional Development Fund. So all those have to be in place and on board that to move forward. Is that my understanding? Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And if those aren't all in place, this project doesn't move forward?
That's the end of it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
For now,
Councillor
anyway.
Trevor.
Yeah.
And the other question I have, as I'm reading the package, I'm seeing that the meetings are happening with the museum manager and Councillor Tapper and the deputy mayor. But I'm not seeing anything in here about what's happening with the committee that we've put in place to support the establishment. So I'm just curious to see if the committee is still functioning, if it is, what role it is, and can we have, you know, copies of those meeting minutes of the committee, if it's an arm of council, represented in the public package, because I don't see them in here, and I just think it's important to make sure that we include that if it is an extension of council.
I asked the same question the other day at our meeting, because, and again, we had a very, very busy summer, obviously, right, with all the events, and Noah had a Come Home Here grant himself, he was involved with. But yes, that committee did meet once in, I think it was back in September.
And they're due to
But-
meet December 6th, right?
Yeah, yeah, so we are going to try to get monthly meetings from, you know, from here on in.
Thank you, Councillor Tapper. And those committee meeting minutes will be shared with the council going forward?
Sure, if you like, yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. Infrastructure, Public Works, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Worship. There's not a whole lot new to report here from last time. We did meet on Wednesday past at 8:15, myself and Councillor Appleby and Brian, Director of Infrastructure and Public Works. Relating to the flow meter projects, and the work is still close to being finished. As you notice, the hole is still open on Conlon Lane, so hopefully that'll be filled in the not too distant future and be covered over before we get too much snow. Right, Brian?
Should be done by the end of the week, actually.
The sidewalk project, we had mentioned earlier about the adjustments that might be needed in that project. One was the Darrell Pye Drive and Torbay Road, where there was a dip there that was accumulating water, and also, as is with every project, there is a calculation of petroleum cost at the end of each project, and those two total up to be some $29,000 in total, and there's a motion needed to do a change order for that project. So the motion to approve change order number 2 for project 17 RNC 210001 Torbay sidewalks. The change order deals with the extra catch basin required on Torbay Road near Darrell Pye Drive and petroleum adjustments as per the contract. Change order amounting to $29,206.72 plus HST. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor?
Can I just make one comment on that?
Sure.
We had a conversation about this during the committee meeting, and my understanding is this is a change order that's also within the current budget. It's not an overage by any extent on the project. Brian, can you confirm that for me, please?
Yes, that's correct. We're still within the original budget for the project.
All right, thank you. I just think that's important to show the public. Thanks.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, sir.
there's not much else. We talked about the projects that will be starting next year. Obviously, the road project won't be done this year, it'll be done this spring. Stormwater mitigation projects the same way. We are doing some work on the trails, and we're almost, if not stopped, on the one on, from Spray Lane to the bypass at the present time, with any other work being done now directed towards the Whiteaway Pond one, until we actually deal with the section in between Spray Lane and on this side of the bypass back towards Spray Lane, so across one person's property. So there is still some work to be done around that, but we still have to.
Spray Lane?
It's Forest River Road, sorry.
Forest River Road.
Forest River Road.
Forest River Road,
Sorry.
okay.
Spray Lane's down by the beach, isn't it?
Sorry, that's Spray Lane. What was Stream side, was it?
Yeah, okay, stream
It comes
side.
beside Streamside, it
Yeah.
comes from Forest River Road, actually.
Okay,
That one. That's the one.
okay.
Same one.
Same one, yeah, same one, different name. I don't know why I got Spray Lane. Anyway, so, other than that, we spoke to the generator project at the, in the corporate services. And other than that, your worship, there's nothing out of the ordinary unless someone has any question, or unless Councillor Appleby wants to make any comments on anything I may have missed.
No, thank you, Councillor Powell. Just one comment though. We did talk about, when we talked about trails. We had touched on, future work around the trails. I know that there was a discussion with council and people in Eagles Ridge last year around open space up there and work. And I know that we had talked about asking staff to go back and look at that again as part of our planning for next year. But other than that, everything is in there. Thanks.
All right, thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, could I
Yep,
just
go
ask a
ahead.
question?
Councillor Temple?
I got an email today from a resident concerning the cut that was made in the road, Torbay Road, between Indymill Line and Mannings Hill. It's on your right going up the hill. It's in really, really rough shape,
Yeah,
off and on. I don't know if you could do something with it, Brian.
There's
Yeah.
a spot there right across from the two houses, or
On Torbay Road.
Uses.
Yeah, yeah.
just by Eustace's house, there's a big piece got out of it, a
Yeah.
huge pothole there.
Yeah, that's where we had a water line break there. So we're waiting for the contractor. He was supposed to be here last week, but the weather turned. But that'll be done short order. I had the guys fill it back in today, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you. Very good. Recreation, Community Services. Councillor Goss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We met on November 23rd, as myself, Deputy Mayor Thorne Goss, Acting Director Scott Martin, and Director Jen Martin was back. And I would like to pass along congratulations to her and her partner Francis on the arrival of their new beautiful babies. Congratulations to their family, and glad to see you back. I'm glad to hear that everything is going quite well. So we just had as this time of the year comes up, a quick meeting. We had talking about the Christmas events coming up, seniors Christmas party, Christmas concert for the Janeway, breakfast with Santa. And this year, we were able to save some money there. Actually, Scott went out and we priced out the food, and it's going to be all the food this year for the breakfast with Santa was going to be done by community volunteers. So it's a lot of people stepped up to that, and it's very great to see. And it's nice too that we can save a few bucks for our taxpayers on that as well, and still offer a nice breakfast for the kids. We're having a Christmas camp with the tentative dates December 22nd, 23rd, 28th, 29th, and 30th. So that's something good for the kids as well. Remembrance Day this year was we were in attendance. It was a great event. It was very well run. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. It was very well done for our veterans and their remembrance. So I was very happy to be a part of that. For the National Child Day, the event saw over 300 people attend the pancake breakfast, the family fun day at Torbay. Beyond that, we're still trying to get that sign going over there, but apparently an additional part was ordered by a contractor with the Wi-Fi going there to show a nice new sign up, but hopefully we'll have that rolling pretty soon. Beyond that, that's about it. Winter Guide is out there. Anybody want to check online for that, or we'll have some hard copies, I'm sure. Next meeting is December 7th, 2022. That's it for me, sir, unless anybody has any questions.
Is there an issue with the sign why it only works on one side?
There's an issue with that, and there's also an issue with the Wi-Fi. It has its own built-in Wi-Fi connection, but it's not working properly. So the antenna that was supposed to be here on the 2nd, I think, of December, they've actually shipped it overnight tonight. I should get it tomorrow. So we're hoping that they think that'll fix that issue, the connection issue, as well as both the slave side's working, the other side isn't. So they seem to think it's a connection issue, but if we should know hopefully tomorrow. If not, we'll have to go back to them and troubleshoot again with the contractor. It's a bit difficult because they're not local, they're out of province, but
Right.
hopefully we'll get it going soon.
Okay, thank you. Great. Good job. Any other questions? Alrighty. That's it. Liaison committees, Atlantic Mayor's Congress, I don't have any update. Intergovernmental Affairs, Provincial, Federal, Municipal. I don't have any update. I was talking to MHA Wall at the Pooch Cove Christmas dinner the other night. And, you know, we're still working on these issues around Torbay Road, Bowling Line, speed limit, all these things. He's working on those. I know that he did mention that he had to reach out to get permission for some users who wanted to use side-by-sides in the Christmas parade. We had to get an answer from the department on that, whether they would be allowed to give an exemption or whatever. Anyway, that came back fairly quick, so I guess that's all right. And, yeah, that's all I got to update there. Jack Burr, any update?
Not since we chatted last time. Didn't see any emails come through there, Tony, any more than we had. We have a meeting this coming Thursday night, so we should have an update next meeting.
Did you have any?
I just wanted to, the last time we had conversation about the number of meetings we had, I went back and looked, and it was sometime earlier this summer that we actually had our meeting, but we did have a number of meetings via email and conversations, so the business kept on going. We did, as a matter of fact, even have letters directed to all the other towns to try to get support for that Zamboni, which is the big issue at the present time.
Right.
And as well, discussions around our financing of Zamboni and review of budgets and the review of the existing financial statements and things of that nature. So, you know, we have been contacting that and still conducting a fair amount of business. And like I say, December 1st will be the all hands in person again, we hope.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Go ahead.
So, councillors Pollard, Goss and myself have been emailing, communicating regarding council meeting the two community representatives. So I did send an email today to see if they could come in at 6 o'clock prior to the next public council meeting to just a informal meet and greet. So I'm waiting on a reply. So once that comes through, then I'll advise council.
All right, sounds good, thank you. Northeast Avalanche Joint Council. The package is there, Deputy Mayor's not here, so if anybody got any questions, hold them off till you can ask them next meeting.
Just to mention, I attended that.
Oh,
as
did you
well.
attend? Oh, carry
Yeah.
on, sir.
But regular routine, there was probably 20-25 attendees.
Yeah.
And the guest speakers and that, just, you know, but a lot of the reports were just on summer activities, and now everybody's into their budget, and everybody's having a challenge, you know, so pretty well, it was less than an hour for the meeting.
Right on. They're still doing those meetings virtual?
Yes.
Right on, okay, thank you. RNC, got no update, but I think I'd like to reach, we already talked about that, reaching out to Councilman Cadigan, see if we could get him to come down to a meeting. Just give council a little update on operations, how things are going in our area. Would be good. Okay. Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, Councilor Manning.
Okay, minutes are there, pretty straightforward there. Training continued. Of course, as you mentioned earlier at the start of our meeting, Mayor, the fire pumper arrived on Friday, the new fire pumper. So that's pretty exciting for him over there. They've got the kids' party on December the 11th and the special needs Christmas party on December the 17th. Other than that, everything else is there in the minutes.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Oh, and we got a brand new truck. Did you forget about that? Yes, so we did get a new pumper. You okay?
Would you like some water? I'll get it.
I got it, thank you.
All right. All right, Urban Municipalities Committee is meeting December 8th, 9th, and 10th in St. John's. And, man, that's gonna be a busy weekend, but, that's what it is. So I'll report back after that. I got some things that are gonna be on the agenda, like changing the meeting structure, how often we meet, those type things, so should be an interesting meeting. All right,
Mayor,
yep,
for UMC, could I ask that you consider adding ATV trails to the agenda? I know that there was discussion not that long ago, whereby residents had shared some communication about an interest in ATV trails and having something like that in the area. And I believe I commented on that and said, wouldn't that be great to have a regional discussion about it? But I think if I could ask, I know that it's been on the agenda in the past,
Yep.
and I know some other communities have shared some of their success stories. Maybe something like that could be beneficial for our region to look at, you know, the communities coming together and seeing if they can explore option for regional ATV trails.
Mm.
So I don't know if there's room on your agenda for that, but I just want to toss it out there and ask that it be considered, because I know in other areas of the province, there's big stuff being done around that, and it might
Yeah.
be some part of that discussion that we could bring back and have a discussion with our regional municipalities about looking at that as a go-forward, action item for councils.
yeah, I think that most communities that have moved forward with that, like Bay Roberts and Carbonear and a few others, those towns in those areas have ATV groups. Like I don't know if it's the Bay Roberts ATV group or whatever. They're kind of like, they get together and they worked with the towns on how to come up with where the trails should be and how to move forward. And I've had some discussions with some people around our town, and I asked them, I said, why don't you get some of your friends together and organize into some kind of a group that can speak on behalf of everybody? Because really, that's the only way you can do it. Try to work with a bunch of individuals that are not even loosely aligned would be a nightmare. But yes, I could bring that, I'll bring that back and I'll go back and look through the minutes that we already got and see what types of information that we're able to raise on that. So,
That'd be great, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, because if we could look at lessons learned on this, and I think, you know, to your point with we may not have an organization of interested individuals, but maybe there's something from a council perspective, when we look at that, we could look at TEA, the Environmental Advisory Committee maybe advising us on some spaces that we could have ATV trails with what we have here, make sure environmental considerations are looked at. There's also the near plan discussions. I don't know where that is at this point, but if that's happening, in part of the near plan discussions around, you know, joint ATV trails and land use, I don't know if there's something there as well. And I don't know if there's a planning component here, you know, for the planning committee to consider and talk about with other municipalities. But just wanna raise it, because I know that there were great ideas. I believe Bishop's Falls talked about using asphalt for some of their trails, and, you know, I know the Burin Peninsula are really connected pretty much, I think, from the bottom of the route right up to Doobie's. So there's great opportunity, I think, here to do something, and if we're gonna have our UMCs together, who are the farming communities who would have capacity to have done something around this, maybe a lessons learned that we could wrap up and bring back to council might be helpful for next steps discussion.
okay,
Thank you.
perfect, thank you. All right. No notice of motion, new business. Pass. Counselor Appleby.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to thank Municipal Affairs for the training session. I finally completed all 5 modules and got the training done, so it was great to see the staff municipal affairs. I believe Kim actually gave a birthday for the ATIP training and then to do the full Saturday. That was really great. It's really important, like I said earlier, to do the training so that we understand better how to do our business, and I thought that was fabulous. I also want to thank you for the birthday greeting. I happy birthday to the rest of our colleagues as well, but I said to someone, I said, I'm going to be 29 and old, and they said, yeah, what are you going to do, Trina, when someone says you're looking old for 29, I laughed. So I appreciate that, that's great. And I wanted to thank our friends at FCM for the bystander training that I had the ability to participate in on the 17th of November. It was a great session, and it was information about how to intervene and deal with violence and harassment in virtual and personal settings. I also wanted to share that there is another workshop on promoting inclusive and diverse representation on municipal committees happening December 12th from 1 to 3 p.m. And for anybody who's interested to take this training, let me know. But it's not only workshop to look at ways to attract, engage, and retain racialized individuals and get them to participate on municipal committees and just make sure that all people in the community's voices are heard around decision making and policy development. So if anyone's interested, please reach out, let me know, and I'll hook you up with how to register for that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I guess it's me. All right, so just want to pass on my regular thanks to staff here that works their guts out all the time and answering questions like ones that are raised at our council meetings, and of course being here to respond to residents all the time and your coworkers. Thank you for that. Thanks to council for your support over the last few weeks, and I, in particular, I want to send out a big thank you to our volunteers who were at the pancake breakfast for the kids. Children's Day, Kids Day, National Child Care Day, and I spoke to Scotty when we were there about volunteers coming and cooking for the pancake breakfast, or Santa breakfast with Santa, sorry. I'm confused with all these things that we've been doing. And, and I thought it was a great opportunity because the volunteers were already all there working at that breakfast. And I said, would you be interested in coming, to do the pancake breakfast or breakfast with Santa? Yes. We sent out the email. Tremendous response. I want to thank them for that, because not only, as Councillor Goss pointed out, it does save us money by not having to have that event fully catered, but to me, it just means that much more when you can do it. And I'll see you guys there at 6 o'clock Saturday morning with my if I can find my Torbay 50 apron that I can't seem to find anywhere. But whatever, I'll have something on, and we'll be there ready to start cooking. We'll be there ready to start cooking on Saturday morning at 6 or 6:30 or whenever it is that we need to be there, and we're going to have a great time, and we're going to cook up the breakfast, and this is how these community events are supposed to be. It's supposed to be for the community, by the community, with us there to help them out, and I really want to thank them for that. And I want to thank Chief Goody for going up to Brampton, Ontario, and drive our new pumper back. He got back with it on Friday night. Thanks, Don. And I'm glad that he went up there and he came back and drove safe, and we got a new piece of equipment in our fleet. I want to thank the Town Council of Puchco for inviting me to their Christmas party. It was great to be able to get down there and talk to some of their staff. The Chief Sullivan had the air talked off me about fire department stuff. He got a lot of ideas, that fella. And I said, yes, no problem, we can do that. Everything he asked for. Then I went back and I told the mayor, I said, well, you better be prepared. you can have lots of budget requests coming. I just told Chief we could do whatever it is that he wants. So, anyway, we had a great laugh, and it was a lot of fun. And last but not least, I want to congratulate or just mention that M&L has a new CEO, Robert Nolan. Will be starting on December 12th as part of the M&L board. Myself and Councillor Epp, we were involved in that whole hiring process and recruitment. So congratulations to him. Congratulations and thank you to Craig Pollitt, who's going to be retiring. And after 20 years or more with M&L, he certainly grew the organization from what it was when it started. So anyway, that's it. Keep an eye out on our social media platforms for events that are going to be coming up for Christmas. A lot of them are probably already sold out. They're that, they're pretty popular. And, we always try our best to accommodate whoever we can. And we got some really, really exciting events that are coming up. And this special needs Christmas party is coming up on December 17th. I would encourage every member of council to go to that if you can find the time, because it's a tremendous event. It's one of the things that I look forward to most every year. I'm glad we're getting back to doing it in person. I really want to thank Joe Tilley and the fire department for the work they do on that. It's truly amazing. So anyway, that's it. I'm done. Q&A. Paul's gone. No Q&A. Next public council meeting is going to be Monday, December 12th at 6:30 p.m. here in the Torbay Council Chambers. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn,
Your worship.
please.
Anything about the public budget presentation?
Oh, yes, that's not on my list of stuff. December 5th. So, all right, so on December 5th at 5:30 p.m. in the community center in the multipurpose rooms, we'll be doing a draft budget presentation for residents. So, get out. You're welcome to come and hear what we got to say and ask questions. And we'll be promoting it on our social media network, so keep an eye out for that. All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.